Hello everyone and welcome. So in today's video I'm going to take you through, step by step, Tasha's hero's journey. For those who don't know, Tasha is D&D's Witch Queen and is also a namesake of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Now I've seen a lot of videos document Tasha's story, but my goal here is to demonstrate how her story fits in the hero's journey, or story circle. I want to show that no matter how complex a character arc appears, more often than not, it is usually always abiding by some sort of narrative structure. Now, before I get into this, her backstory is rather complex, and it doesn't help that she goes by several aliases. Moreover, I'm using current Wizards of the Coast lore, so I will be referring to Tasha and Iggwilv as the same person, and I shall do my best to present Tasha or Iggwilv's hero's journey as accurately as possible. I'll also link to my sources below if anyone is interested in where I got my info. Also, I'd like to mention that I'm not sure how much of what I'm saying below is strictly canon, and the information that I've chosen to include is what I think best explains Tasha's motivations or character development. Anyway, with all that out of the way, let's begin. So we start in the zone of comfort. Here we have a child Natasha, or Natasha the Dark as her name was then. She was adopted by Baba Yaga, an extraordinarily powerful mage and archfey who could pass through magical planes with ease. Here Natasha lives with her other adopted sisters and Baba Yaga's biological children in Iggwilv, though she also spent a considerable amount of time in the Feywild. She lives in a dancing hut and has been tutored by Baba Yaga in all things magical. It was rumoured that Natasha could summon demons at just 10 years old. However, the relationship between Natasha and her siblings is grown fraught, as they are jealous of Natasha's powers and ambition. Next is that she desires something. Natasha wants to develop and challenge her powers, so she strikes out on her own and relocates to a town near the city of Lopola. Here she changes her name to Hura and begins to research and dabble in evil magic, as the quickest route to power is always through the evil stuff, right? She plunders the vault of Dowd and likely steals Dowd's wondrous lanthorn, or lantern, and adds it to her collection of stolen treasures. Her ambition to attain even more power is only growing. Now we move into an unfamiliar environment. After some time, she moves on to the free city of Greyhawk. She goes by her old name, but the shortened version, Tasha. Until now, Tasha was very independent, but deep down she knew she could learn more from others than she could on her own. She wants to make use of her improved powers and joins the Company of Seven, which is an adventuring group. This is where I think she meets a powerful and eccentric Zybilna. She becomes an apprentice of Zybilna, and around this time creates Tasha's hideous laughter. Later, they summon and imprison the demon lord Fraz Erblu in Greyhawk Castle. The ever-ambitious Tasha interrogates him, and through these conversations she gleans more information about demons that she can use to her advantage. This is unbeknownst to Tasha's mentor, Zybilna. At some point, Fraz Erblu tells her the true name of his half-fiend son, Sojkanth. This is very important for future Tasha lore, so remember this. When Tasha has learned all she can about demons, she leaves Zybilna, but not in a good way. She basically runs off and steals most of his books on demonology, the most important being the Tomb of Zyx. Next up is adapting to the situation. Tasha is beginning to find her stride as an all-powerful magic user and travels to the lost caverns of Sojkanth in the Yathel Mountains, where she summons and binds Fraz Erblu's half-fiend son, Sojkanth. Sorry, this is getting very wordy here, so I'll do my best to pronounce this all properly. Because she knows his true name, Sojkanth, let's say, becomes her advisor and reveals to her the true name of another powerful demon, Prince Gratzt, or Grazit, depending on how you pronounce that. I've heard it done both ways, but I'm going to go with Gratzt. Using the Tomb of Zyx, she wants to write the Demonomicon of Iggwilv. Around the time of writing the Demonomicon, she changes her name from Tasha to Iggwilv, hence the book's title. Moreover, Demonomicon is what enables her to summon and control Gratzt. Here we have they get what they want. During this time, she has two children, a son, Iggwilv the Evil, whose father is Gratzt, and a vampire daughter, Drelsna, whose father is unknown. She builds an army with Gratz and her son's help, and attacks and controls Perrinland, which surrounds the Yathel Mountains. She sets up base in the lost caverns of Sojkanth. She's beginning to build an empire now, and her reputation precedes her. At this point, people call her the Witch Queen. She carries on summoning demons. This all goes on for about 10 years. Next, we have a heavy price to pay. Due to her repeated summoning of demons, an abysmal energy builds under the Yathel Mountains. This causes a rift into the abyss, Gratz mentions the rift can be closed by freeing Sojkanth. During this process, though, Sojkanth fights back and attacks Iggwilv. She does defeat him, but it leaves her vulnerable and she loses control of Gratz. The two engage in an epic fight and Iggwilv successfully banishes Gratz back into the abyss. However, she is severely weakened. Sensing this weakness, the Perrin landfolk take up arms and drive out her forces. This is one of the lowest points in Iggwilv's life, and she flees. For a while she is presumed dead. Later, the Circle of Eight and the wizard Mordenkainen sponsor groups to explore the Lost Caverns of Sojkanth, to claim its lost and plundered treasures. Cue the Lost Caverns of Sojkanth adventure module. It's here these sponsor groups encounter and kill her daughter Drelsna. Rumour has it, Drelsna was the only person Tasha truly loved, so her death is a devastating blow. Next we have they return to a familiar situation. Iggwilv's son Ayuz, much like his mother and, father, is also very powerful. He achieves demigod status and uses his powers to bring his mother back from the brink. Iggwilv tries one last time to summon Gratz, but having done this dance before, Gratz anticipates what she is up to and instead pulls her into the abyss. There she stays for a very long time. In the abyss, Iggwilv continues her demon studies and grows even more powerful. She also journeys to the second layer of Hades, or Niflheim. However, like her younger self, she makes many enemies along the way, including Gratz. Again, they have a very toxic relationship, and she ends up fleeing to the Feywild. Next up, we have they have changed as a result of their journey. Iggwilv enters the Feywild using a page from her mother's magical book. Her mother is of course Archfey Baba Yaga, mother of all witches. Tasha makes herself at home in the Feywild and chooses another alias, Zybilna. Over time she transforms into a Fey creature, but outwardly she appears human. Her temperament has changed too. She is less ambitious and uninterested in being the all-powerful wizard she was. She's also less selfish and is no longer studying demonology. She resides peacefully in her domain Prismir. But has she genuinely changed? Or is this an act to stay hidden? I want to think she has changed, but who knows? Moreover, how long will this time of peace last? She has made many enemies along the way, and don't forget about her jealous sisters when she has grown up in Baba Yaga's dancing hut. Cue the Wild Beyond the Witchlight campaign. So that's her story arc for now. What do you think? Has she changed for the better? Or is it all an act? Has she overcome her flaws or succumbed to them? In particular, her ever-vaulting ambition. Is she a hero or a tragic hero? Interestingly, when I pulled up the monster stat block, I found the following notes for role-playing. They read, Iggwilv was a brilliant calculating figure, hardly prone to emotional outbursts. But Zybilna, she allows her emotions to run rampant and is more likely to find herself in the grip of happiness, anger, or melancholy. This is the price she pays to exert control over the Feywild and impose her will on the domain of Prismir. Now, to me, that suggests her personality and temperament, as it stands, is a way to gain better control over her dominion, rather than being a genuine shift in values. But I'll keep an open mind. Next, it says her alignment is chaotic neutral. Fine, neither good nor evil, okay? Now, the personality trait shines a more positive light on her, as it reads, I've become more temperate in my old age. To me, this suggests there is some form of genuine good change in her. This is further supported by her ideal, where she says, I used to believe that emotions and kindness were signs of weakness. Now I see their strength. This is complemented by her flaw, which reads, My mother, Baba Yaga, warned me that my arrogance would be my undoing. As sure as stars light the night sky, she might be right. So maybe, just maybe, she has seen the error of her ways and is working on improving herself. Let me know what you think. Also, if you like my deep dive on character arcs, I have 2 more videos covering a similar theme. The first focuses on Strahd von Zarovich, and the other Vecna. Neither characters need any introduction. If you like these videos, please consider subscribing and I'll carry on making more. Anyway, that's all for today folks, and I'll see you in the next one.